Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest, reacting to some Toronto Raptors news, and Jake Ficher of Bleacher Report. He's been putting out a lot of information over the past few months. I feel like we haven't really heard. He's sort of coming onto the scene right now, and he dropped a bomb himself, right? Not a Woj bomb. There's only one guy, two guys, him, Shams, and Chris Haynes, that really get credit for officially everything being true, everything being sound that's reported. But Jake Ficher came out and said that the Toronto Raptors had the decision between young players Tyler Herro and Precious Achiuwa to be the real young core piece moving away from Miami in the Kyle Lowry sign and trade. Now, officially, we don't know what the full return is going to be because Goran Dragic's going to be involved in that deal. It's been confirmed that he knows he's leaving. It seems like Precious Achiuwa is aware of that as well. But we don't know if Goran Dragic's going to be flipped. Maybe there'll be a 3-team deal. Maybe picks are going to be involved. But we know those two guys are involved. And Jake Ficher is saying that, and we'll break down that full in-depth trade talk once we get that information, but Jake Ficher is saying that the Raptors had the opportunity of instead Precious Achiuwa being involved in that deal, Tyler Herro being added to that trade. And now, I know what a lot of Raptors fans might be thinking. Initially hearing those names, Tyler Herro is a big name. And Riker and I have been raving about how we wanted Herro in a potential sign-and trade for Kyle Lowry throughout the course of this season. And he's much more established, having made a tremendous playoff run in the bubble with the Miami Heat, having big game after big game. The classic, the I don't even know what to call that. The grin, the it's like a Kobe face, if people remember that, for Tyler Herro. So that put him into superstar status in terms of notoriety, talking to Jack Harlow. But he's definitely not that level of player on the court. But I think because he hasn't ascended to the Devin Booker comparisons that people were talking about, he's still a strong player, right? Scored about 15 points per game this season, shooting the high 30s in terms of three-point percentage, gets you 5 rebounds, can assist a little bit. So he's still a really good player and a really nice asset that Riker and I wanted back in a Kyle Lowry trade. Now, Heat fans would tell you that he's untouchable even for James Harden or these types of guys, but apparently the Raptors had the choice between Herro and Achiuwa, and we went the route of Achiuwa. And for all the branding, for all the things I brought up with Tyler Herro, it's the complete opposite for Precious Achiuwa, because he's a guy that, you look at his box score, not impressive his rookie season. Now, he's only a rookie, he's only a young player, but not that impressive. 5 points, a few rebounds, and not that many minutes per game. Couldn't crack the Heat's rotation as they were trying to make a playoff push last season. However, and the most glaring of it all, the reason that, during our lives, before we really went into depth about Precious Achiuwa's game and all these sorts of things, Riker and I weren't that high on Precious, is he's 6'8". He's a 6'8 guy that, he's a true center. He plays the center position for the Miami Heat, but at 6'8", it's tough to really man the paint down there at that height. But after watching some Precious Achiuwa highlights, after digging some research into him, I think this might not be a horrific move for the Toronto Raptors. Now, we'll see what the full return is, and we want to see if we get any other centers, and we need to re-sign Khem Birch back. So those are all prerequisites and things that are going to hopefully fall in place for the Toronto Raptors. We'll see. People are moving. I made a rant last night hoping we'd sign at least someone, but at least if we get Birch back, and now looking at these Achiuwa highlights, which I'll break down now, it's we might not be in horrible shape. We might not be playing the Kazoos all this season, so I'll play them in honor because I know a lot of people are going to be disappointed, but you watch Precious Achiuwa, and for what he lacks in height, for what he lacks in natural length, and these sorts of things, he makes up for in just pure hustle, determination, strength around the rim, and on the defensive end, he's well positioned for a rookie, right? Usually big men take a few years to develop. Even Bam Adebayo on the Miami Heat, he took a couple seasons to really come into his own, playing behind Hassan Whiteside. So it's a guy that's already shown a lot of the fundamentals, a lot of in terms of, maybe not, fundamentals is the wrong word, the intangibles to be a good center in today's NBA, despite the fact he's undersized. And when Hassan Whiteside, he definitely didn't have anything positive to say about the Miami Heat. Udonis Haslem, obviously Heat legend, he came out and giving a lot of credit, a lot of compliments to Precious Achiuwa recently, talking about how he looks like a young Bam Adebayo. And honestly, you look at them in terms of physicality, how they came into the league, very raw. There is some player comparisons there, and while Bam is taller. It's only by 1 inch. Bam is only 6'9", and he is certainly a true NBA center in the modern NBA. But where Bam does have the edge on him right now is in weight. He's about 25 pounds heavier. So for all the strength that Precious Achiuwa has, he'll definitely have to hit the weight room, in my opinion, if he's going to be our night in, night out starting center on a real competing Toronto Raptors team. But at least it's something. At least it's a guy that can get in there, can rebound, and that was our biggest issue. Is OG Anunoby, he was really our center guy for a lot of this season when Aaron Baines, he couldn't really get it done. OG was slotted to center. We kept Siakam at power forward, and OG's tremendous top-notch on-ball defense, it was wasted just brooding around in the paint. And Boucher can't do it. Siakam can't do it. OG is capable, but you're just wasting that talent. I think Scotty Barnes might be capable considering he's that height. Still a rookie, so the strength will have to come. But, to have a guy that can go in there and do those sorts of things, it was kind of, Ken Birch filled that role in the second half of the season again. He's only 6'9" himself, but with very long arms. But Precious Achiuwa, at a very young age, coming into his second season now, I think it could be a cool fit. It could be an interesting sort of ordeal. And obviously, I went on a rant last night talking about how we don't have a center. I think I already brought that up. But I started off with I trust Masai Ujiri, and he has greater intel than any of us on YouTube or Reddit or even the reporters, Michael Grange. Well, certainly Michael Grange, who hit us all with that pump fake for Jalen Suggs, got us all hyped for him. But I'm happy with how all that turned out, even though we made a couple of videos on Suggs, hyping him up, breaking him down for really nothing. But Masai Ujiri, if he sees something in Precious Achiuwa, I trust it. And, if Bam Adebayo, or if he's getting comparisons to Bam Adebayo, I know they're on the same team, and usually guys the same height, same size, they always get comparisons when they're on the same team, just like Malachi Flynn, Fred VanVleet, and Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry before him, right? They're never ever exactly the same. So it's tough to really extrapolate too much on that, but Precious Achiuwa, I think it's not the end of the world if we go into next season with Precious Achiuwa and Ken Birch as our starting center rotation, right? Whichever one you want to start, depending on how polished, how complete Precious is, right? You can go either way with it, but I want it in an ideal world, right? I love what the Toronto Raptors did with the rest of their roster, keeping everything the same. You bring in Trent, Scotty Barnes is a great pickup, right? You have OG, you keep Siakam, and you see what happens at the center position. You have someone that can play ahead of Ken Birch, have Ken Birch coming off the bench, maybe splitting minutes the same way Marc Gasol and Serge Ibaka did. That was my ideal route for the Toronto Raptors this offseason, and then figure out where you go from there. Let the young guys develop and see if you can make a run in this Eastern Conference, which is going to be a lot tougher this season. And maybe it's possible. Maybe Precious Achiuwa is that guy. I'd like to maybe have some more insurance, especially coming back from Dallas, that can really clog up the paint, probably has a bit more height, bit more size, even though there was some big games with Precious Achiuwa guarding Joel Embiid this offseason. He's been known as a sort of Giannis stopper, but certainly didn't come out in the playoffs. I don't think he got that much opportunity for run in this year's postseason, but he is a guy that's shown an ability to guard those big players in the Eastern Conference, and it's going to be needed. We also have the emergence of the Chicago Bulls now, who just signed DeMar DeRozan. So Vucevic, we had Vucevic's father on this team for a while with when he was in Orlando and Marc Gasol, but he's going to be someone that's going to need to be guarded, which I don't think is really there currently on the roster. I don't think Siakam, Boucher, or maybe OG could, but could really lock down Nikola Vucevic. So they're going to be a strong roster. I'm not worried about any of the Knicks big men, but obviously Giannis in Milwaukee, Joel Embiid for the Philadelphia 76ers, and then the just having a wall, having people in the paint to clog up the paint against the Brooklyn Nets is always going to be essential. So it's going to be a need to have a true starting center, and Achiuwa can do it. And there's also been more chatter that he's taken a big leap this offseason in terms of his jump shot, in terms of his ability to finish around the rim. I know a lot of Heat fans, they were talking about how he struggles with catching the basketball. It's a Bismack Biyombo-itis, where he just struggles to catch those. He's a good roller around the rim, but sometimes the ball goes flying through his hands. That's something you can teach. That's something you can develop. But if it persists year after year, then you have some worry signs. Apparently that stuff has been improved. So Precious Achiuwa, I'm not as distraught about not having signed one of those big center options as I was last night reacting to, on the 8th video, that little rant. But we got to see what happens. We got to see what happens to the rest of this roster. And as I mentioned earlier, we haven't got official word what the full package is going to be for Kyle Lowry. So we need to really hear that. Riker and I will break that report down fully. I got a video I'm going to record right after this on Sam Dekker. So that's going to be an interesting piece to bring in as well. But the Toronto Raptors, there still has to be moves to be made, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with this team. I just wanted to make this video and not have people distraught by the fact that we could have had Tyler Herro and Precious Achiuwa. He fits the team better, fits what we're doing a little bit more, because he can hopefully be a two-way guy. The Raptors like to whether draft or pick up young players that are naturally good on defense and develop the offense, right, rather than vice versa. And Tyler Herro, he's not known to be a strong defender, so I see what's happening there. And Tyler Herro in a couple of years is probably, well, I guess they're both kind of, you get one more year on a rookie scale contract with Precious there, and who knows? Who knows? A lot of people don't really like Tyler Herro. And, they say the fit, they say this, they say that. So we'll see what occurs. We'll see what occurs to the Toronto Raptors. Is this a big, massive L for the Raptors and missing out on Tyler Herro? When I talked to Riker about it, he was a little bit disappointed. He'll give his take once we get the official news on what's happening with this Kyle Lowry trade, because no one official has reported. For as much as Fisher has been reporting, don't want to give him the honorary Woj bomb segment. I knew that this would all pop up as is tradition for Raptors Digest podcast. All the segments played at once, but I didn't want to give Jake Ficher the credibility as anyone that's nearly a Woj, Chris Haynes, or Sham. So it's it's an interesting ordeal. I just wanted to sort of make this video to react to the Tyler Herro, Precious Achiuwa kind of rumor and break down why I'm cool with Achiuwa. I think he's a good fit. I think he's a nice return. I've been swayed, despite the fact that I really wanted Herro initially. But, that's what life is. Learning and then adjusting your opinions. Let me know what you guys think. Are you guys disappointed in the Raptors potentially passing up on a Tyler Herro for Precious Achiuwa? Let me know in the comment section below. Subscribe to Raptors Digest. We're breaking down all of the latest Toronto Raptors news, and subscribe to Courtside Digest, because there's going to be a lot of NBA content coming out over there over the next few days. But you're the best to make it this far. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.